Today we're working on a 2013 Toyota RAV4 with a 2.5. It has a seized alternator and a seized tensioner. Now this has already snapped the belt, so we can skip the whole removing of the belt. Tools you'll need is a 10 millimeter, a 14 millimeter, and a 12 millimeter, but we're probably going to get a wrench because the 12 mil is for the tensioner and it's in a tight spot. But anyway, disconnect your battery with a 10 mil. Just loosen that enough, pull your ground, and then since this is an absolute gross mess and we're going to clean this all up anyway, we're going to pull the hot as well. Alright, so then come over to your battery and take off your gloves in the freezing weather. Over here, you see this clip that has to come off, so you just pry it back and off. Under it is the 10 mil holding on the positive lead for the battery, so we'll remove that. So that's off. Remove the positives post. Okay. So you're gonna push this in and pull back, and that removes that. All right, next 10 mil on top of your alternator. Remove this bracket. So now you have this bracket that you need to remove by pulling this pin backwards, and it should slide right off. Then you can kind of manipulate this a little bit out of the way. Remove this sensor as well as to not stress the wiring. And then down there, we're going to leave that so it's not a pain. So next we're going to take the lower alternator bolt off. It is a 14 millimeter, and you're going to want a deep 14 to clear the pulley. And it is going to be somewhat of a slow process, but it will come off. And it should, and I believe it just did, pretty much break free to where you should be able to then remove the ratchet entirely and spin it off with your fingers. So. It's a long bolt. It's in a tight spot. There we go. Once you got it free, you just use your fingers, not the ratchet, so you can spin it a little easier. So next up, upper alternator bolt. And you can stop right there because it's
It's cold. Very cold. I only have one glove on, but it is very cold. Just gotta stay moving to keep yourself warm. Dance around the shop, you know what I mean?
So next on the upper bolt is also a 14. Use a wrench to clear that stuff. And once you have it broken free, you can switch over to a ratcheting wrench to make your life a little bit easier. But of course, it can never be easy because you have chosen to be a mechanic. Oh, that fucking hurt. You stupid piece of shit. Alright, upper bolt's out. I want a wrench or something down there to pry on that a little bit. Yeah. Once it's moving. Carefully so you don't hit the fans or anything. 10 mil on this bracket. Now once this is out of the way, you can simply pull the alternator up.
Go.
And then why isn't this fucking moving? So 12 millimeter on the tensioner to break that free. And then the same thing can be done with that once that's free. Switch out for a ratcheting wrench. And then once you remove that bolt, you can simply pull the tensioner out. Next we have this tensioner, which wouldn't you know it, with our luck, was seized, but it's okay. My thumb stopped my fucking hand from getting really hurt. Fuck. I know I got annoyed when I took this out and I threw it, but this was already busted in the car, and it spins this way, but not that way.
Oh wow.
Also, alright, we're gonna reinstall in the reverse order, and as you can see right there is a little dowel pin on the back that lines up. So you want to get that in the hole, and then just start your bolt by hand on the tensioner. Get that all the way snug down, and then we'll put the 12 back on there and get that tightened up. Alright, and then again with the 12 mil wrench, we're just gonna tighten that back down. And then once that's snug, we'll move to the alternator. Alright, next we have the alternator going in. Just do the top bolt first, I think it'll be easier. I'm not really sure. Let's find out together. So snake it past all this wiring and crap. Careful not to break anything. Cars. Alright, and then get it lined up like so. And then you want to slide the bolt in. Bam. And just kind of weeble her around until you find the other end. And then you just want to use your hand to get it snug. And then we'll tighten it once we get the lower bolt in as well. grab the lower bolt, which is also a 14 mil. So with the lower bolt, you want to get started in the bracket. You're probably going to have to manipulate the alternator so that they line up at the same time.
Recording.
So there's the lower bracket, you have to put the bolt through a hole, and then it's best to pick up the back of the alternator as a whole so you can get it evenly lined up so that you can then finger tighten it, because again, if you cross thread this, it's aluminum and it will ruin your day. So then grab 14 ratcheting wrench for the top. And again, we're just gonna snug this up. Not gonna fully tighten it just yet. Okay, then we'll switch to this long handle 14 mil to get this lower bolt in place. Of course, it's too long to use the ratchet. So I'm just tightening this bolt down some more, but you have to lean over and hold the alternator up while you do it. But that should be enough now to where we can get the ratchet in there. That's tighten very close to it. Things gonna pop off. Alright, so once that's snug, go to the upper. I'm gonna do the same thing, just tighten it up. Switch out to a short one or a ratcheting wrench so you clear that side.
Record.
Just snug that. So we have the belt going around the crankshaft and the water pump on the bottom, and in between the two, the idler pulling the tensioner and then up to the alternator. So we're just gonna get that kind of set in place here. If that is the correct way for it to go, which I believe it is. We have the 10 mil under this. And all this does is enable us a little bit more room. So when we reset the tensioner, hopefully, do that and pull the belt up. reconnect your positive 10 millimeter. Sure. Quick connect there. Be sure to put your rubber boot back on. Reconnect this one. Go get your bracket for here. So then you get your bracket in place up here, which looks like everything on this car is near impossible to do one-handed while you record anything. But there we go. That started. That's not right. Then you get your bracket started like so. 10 millimeter up here. You can put that back on. There. You get the 10 mil for the alternator bracket, which is right there. And you get your coolant reservoir back in place over here. And you guessed it, 10 millimeter. So 10 mil in the back there. And then also 10 mil in the front. And this one up here. And then just tighten those down. And now, okay, we need an extension. Again, you're going to want to start that by hand, just so you don't cross it. And then you finish it off with the ratchet. So that one, and then we'll shorten that up slower. For the positive. Don't go crazy with this one. Need to make sure that's snug. Same thing with that bracket, as well as that one. And then you can tighten up your battery bolts and you're good to go. And that's how you change the alternator tensioner on a 2013 RAV4 2.5. So do you think the alternator and the tensioner were shot? That's all the movement in that alternator. Lastly, put this back over your positive lead, and you are good to go. Alright, so you need 10 mil on this piece of lovely machinery. Hardware. You just need to loosen that enough to get that undone. And of course the wiring would be attached to it, because why wouldn't it be? Pull those those up to get access to that 10 mil. You're probably going to want a short 10 mil for that. Just because life likes to be complicated. Oh. Freaking dog. That's unnecessary. Battery goes right in. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Start that by hand. Okay, now I'm back down. Throw on your positive. Throw on your negative. And then you start the car. There you go. And then replace all your little plastic tabs. And you're done. And that is how to change the alternator, tensioner, belt, and battery on a 2013 Toyota RAV4 with a 2.5.